What happens when free speech collides with media power? In America right now, that very question is at the center of a storm. Late-night host Jimmy Kimmel faced backlash after controversial remarks.
Start with the headlines of your paper. Above the full front page, Trump pushes to silence opposition. Here's the Washington Post. Kimmel's suspension raises fears of new censorship era. And the New York Times, Trump hits the media with everything he has. This is the story of our day. How did we get here?
Like I say, there seems to be a theme in those headlines. I think really stepping back from what's happened in the last few days with Jimmy Kimmel, we have to take this back a little bit, starting with perhaps when then candidate Trump sued CBS News and 60 Minutes over their...
Most importantly, last term, this court got the question of whether or not jawboning is constitutional. And it held unanimously that this kind of government pressure to silence someone and to restrict speech is a violation of the First Amendment.
Well, networks quickly responded, and former President Donald Trump turned up the heat by blasting major outlets for what he called censorship. Is this about accountability, or is it about silencing voices? In recent weeks, U.S. politics has been consumed by a fiery debate. How much freedom should public figures truly have in the media space?
I would add to that, the reaction to the firing of Kimmel and the reaction to the free speech issue has not seen a sort of traditional split between right and left, that people on the right protesting this as a violation of the First Amendment.
Well, that's right. And most famously, Senator Cruz said that this is dangerous, said that it came across like a mafia boss issuing an ultimatum. And it absolutely did. I mean, as you'll recall, when Chairman Carr went on a podcast to issue this statement, he said, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way.
The whiplash in the United States of America continues. Jimmy Kimmel is set to come back on ABC tonight. We have some reporting here. Disney announces Jimmy Kimmel's show will return Tuesday. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. And here's what I want to know. Why is it that a comedian that didn't say anything false nor insensitive, and this has been the way comedians are in this country forever?
Jimmy Kimmel, one of America's most famous late-night hosts, made headlines when his sharp commentary triggered network action. Affiliates pulled his show, sparking a nationwide conversation. Supporters of Kimmel argue this is a dangerous precedent. If comedians and entertainers are punished for words, then where does the line of free expression end? On the other side, critics say accountability matters. They argue that public platforms reach millions, and with that influence comes responsibility. Offensive or divisive language, in their view, cannot be brushed off as just comedy. But then Donald Trump entered the conversation and the story exploded. Trump called out what he described as censorship, claiming that networks and media elites were working hand in hand to control the national narrative. For his supporters, this is proof of a double standard. Left-leaning voices get more protection, while conservative speech faces harsher consequences. This is not just about Kimmel or even about Trump. It is part of a larger struggle in American democracy, the tension between freedom of expression and media gatekeeping. Who decides what is acceptable speech? The audience, the networks, or the government? Meanwhile, ordinary Americans are watching this debate unfold with frustration. Polls show declining trust in both traditional media and political leaders. Many feel the country is more divided than ever, and questions about fairness in speech are adding fuel to that fire. This tug-of-war isn't new. From Hollywood blacklists in the 1950s to heated talk radio battles in the 1990s, America has always wrestled with the limits of free speech. But in the digital age, the stakes feel even higher. Social media can amplify a message to millions in seconds, while traditional networks still control access to prime-time audiences. At the heart of the issue lies a fundamental dilemma. Is restricting certain voices protecting society from harm, or is it undermining the very foundation of democracy? Historically, the First Amendment guarantees broad protections for speech in the U.S., but private media companies still have the right to enforce their own rules. The Kimmel controversy illustrates how corporate decisions can shape the national conversation just as powerfully as government laws. Trump's criticism highlights the ongoing political divide, where both sides accuse the other of bias and suppression. With trust in institutions at historic lows, the balance between free speech and media responsibility will remain one of America's most heated battlegrounds. So here's the question. Do you think media companies are protecting audiences by limiting controversial voices, or are they crossing the line into censorship that weakens democracy itself?